In 1964, Granada Television brought together a group of 7-year-olds from all over the country and from all walks of life.
I'm going to work in Woolworths. I read the Financial Times.
They talked about their dreams, their ambitions, and their fears for the future.
Everything flew up in the air. It all landed on my head.
For nearly half a century, in a unique, groundbreaking series of films, we have followed their lives every 7 years. They are now 56. Lynn, Sue and Jackie grew up in London's East End and were friends at school.
With this school, we do metalwork and woodwork, and the boys do cookery.
All you girls want to do is walk out, get married, have babies and push a pram down the street with a fag hanging outside your mouth.
I think that we all could have gone in any way that we wanted to at the time within our capabilities.
But we only had a limited choice anyway. I mean, truth be told, I mean, we didn't have the choice of private education because they couldn't have afforded it anyway.
Our lives are changing far too much. All of us.
Well, to be honest, when you look at the 7-year-old us, it's difficult to believe it is us.
I've got to say it, girls. I wanted to work in wars.
I'm glad you said that because everyone thinks it was me.
I would like to get married when I grow up. Well, I don't know what sort of boy, but I think one that that's not got a lot of money, but has got some money, not a lot.
Have you got any boyfriends?
That's personal, isn't it?
By the time she was 21, Jackie had married Mick and moved to the outskirts of London.
Thanks, joking.
She and Mick had decided early on that they didn't want to have children.
Basically, I would say because I'm far too selfish.
By 35, she was divorced.
We decided ourselves, I mean, just between the two of us, we knew it wasn't going any further. We both knew, I think, that at the end of the day we would be happier leading our own lives. Oh! And this one on. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Had a brief, but very sweet relationship, the result of which was Charlie. Oh, kiss a cuddle. I don't really want Charlie to be an only. I'd love him to have brothers and sisters, but not necessarily loads of them. Just, you know, one would do, actually. Right, Charlie, there's yours. Oh, please eat it all up.
No.
And James.
Thanks, Mum.
Good boy. And last but not least. Do you eat that one for me?
After her relationship with Charlie's father ended, she met Ian, and they moved to Scotland and had 2 sons.
James.
By 42, they had split up.
Lee.
At 49, despite the split, the family were living in the same area of Scotland. 7 years later, they are still there. So tell me, who lives where?
Lee will be here until October. James is here until he moves in with his girlfriend, which I'm hoping won't be too long. Charlie's actually already moved out because of his dad, or their dad I should say, because Ian's been diagnosed with cancer and it's stage 4, so it's quite advanced.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he likes his grill, you know what it's like. It's good.
The strange part about this is his mother's also got cancer as well.
Your grandmother?
Their grandmother.
Okay, come on, swans.
She's brilliant. If I could have chosen a mother-in-law, she was the one I would have chosen. She's great for me. She's absolutely brilliant with the children, and she's just always there when I need her to be. She's terminal.
How long has she got?
Don't know.
Not too bad.
They don't know how long. I think that they're talking months rather than years. And to have mother and son suffering the same sort of thing is very difficult.
She doesn't want us to sit around and feel sorry and be sad. She wants us to go on and live our lives, and it's no stopped her from trying to live her life.
It seems to have been sort of one thing after another, really. My stepmum died, my brother-in-law died, my sister's died. She wasn't 50. She'd actually gone downstairs and made herself a cup of tea and collapsed on the way back up to her bedroom, and that was a major brain hemorrhage.
So boys, how is your mother handling all this?
In her stride. Nothing seems to be getting to her. It's just...
She's always been a strong woman. She will be upset, but she won't let us see it. She always brave face in front of us, and then when she's alone or with her friends, that's when she gets the sadness out.
But this is a period when you feel, the three, four of you feel close.
Yeah. Got to be there for each other in times like this.
Actually, I would say in the last 6 months, they've all suddenly seemed to have got new maturity.
My mum, because she got 5 girls, she had 7 years bad luck, that's why she's got 5 girls.
2 club sandwiches and brown bread, 1 Hilton burger with cheese.
Charlie is a sous chef in a nearby hotel. And James works part-time as a security guard in a local supermarket.
Check 2 aisles up from your current location. I'm expecting a baby in December. Still young, obviously, so it's a bit a shock, but I am excited about it.
How old are you now?
19, coming on 20.
19. Are you excited to be a gran?
Don't know about
she doesn't like being called Granny.
No, I will be gran, not Granny. Thank you. Not nappy Phil now, please, madam. Oh, look at the face. Well, since you were here recently, we've had a new addition to the family. Her name is Mia. Mia was born on the 21st of November, and unfortunately on the 18th of November, her granddad, Ian, the boy's dad, was severely injured in a road traffic accident. He subsequently died of those injuries. Unfortunately, he never regained consciousness, so he never even met her. But he took a photo of her in his coffin. And I dare say he's looking down saying, ha, I got away with it. I've not got all those nights.
I'm due to go into the army on the 17th of October, where I'll learn to become a medic.
I mean, I can't stop him now. He's 18, he can do what he likes. He can sign on without my approval. But it's a chance he takes, and he knows that there's a possibility that he won't come home.
At the end of the day, you're a soldier, and going out to war is part of being a soldier, and that's what you got to do.
I want you to do it, but it's not going to stop me worrying. You know that. You know that. I took a year off when I had Charlie, and the state kept me for that year. But I went back to work, and although, to be honest, by the time I pay everything out, I'm not actually that much better off, but I feel better.
James, you watch, you're catching up to him. Go on, Lee.
I was working up here until very recently, but they've discovered that I've got rheumatoid arthritis. So at the moment that's put work on hold.
Come on in. Missy, come on in.
For every one good day I have, I can have 2 bad. Which means I can't get out of bed very well. It takes me 2-3 hours to get ready.
The part, if that you don't help them, they'll sort of die soon, wouldn't they?
Jackie has been living on disability benefits for over 14 years.
I don't cope financially. Without my mother-in-law stepping in to fill the gap, I wouldn't be coping. It's really hard to explain to anyone who's not had to do it. You get to a point where either that bill doesn't get paid or your children don't eat. So obviously your children eat.
Didn't even go to the charity shop and get them. Oh, no, they're not.
So looking at the world of cutbacks, how's this affecting you?
I, along with probably millions of other people in this country, have had my benefits reviewed. And
they sent me for a medical and have come back and told me I'm fit to work, which is a bit of a shock. What job can I do? I can't use my hands. I can't sit for long. I can't stand for long. I can't walk very far. I don't know how they expect anybody to employ me, because I couldn't guarantee being there 5 days a week. I mean, I'm lucky in as much as I've got 3 sons all working, whilst James here's got Mia and a family of his own. Charlie and Lee don't, so they help me out, and they have to. By all means, cut the benefits. But you've got people out there that are healthy and are milking the system, and they're not touching them. They're getting away with it. If David Cameron can find me a job, then I'll go to work. If he can find an employer, you tell him to come and get me a job, and I'll do it.
Well, I know he is her, and he loves her. I love you.
I'd like to be able to have a happy family. I mean, I know that's not possible to be happy all the time, but as much of the time that was possible.
Well, what about your own life? What about relationships for you?
I would like a relationship. I mean, I've been trying for the last 5 years to build up a social life of my own, because I knew that this time would come. I've been using the internet, which is interesting, to say the least.
Is it scary?
I mean, you know, some people have obviously had bad experiences with it. Yes.
Well, there was a chap that we filmed.
Yes.
When we were looking at you and Liz, what happened to him?
He decided he needed space, so I gave him that space. So that was a bit of a disaster. But that's the way of relationships. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't.
What are you looking for in a fellow?
Pulse would be nice.
You look great. You seem optimistic.
Yeah, no, I am. My glass is always half full, never half empty. And that's the way it will continue to be, I hope. Life's too short, and you just have to try and go on the best you can, and I think my life's going to be good.
What sort of things do you do?
Ride, swim, play tennis, ping pong. I might play croquet. Something like that.
I don't think my father wants me to be a farmer. My youngest brother, the deaf one, if he can't do anything else, he can probably run a farm.
I thought that you and I were both in the film as being rural, in the sense that your family had some big connections to sort of rural Scotland,
yeah.
I thought.
And I think also when we were 21, I seem to remember having to go to some reunion or something somewhere, and I remember you just stuck out as being the one person that I had more in common with and spoke to the most.
Well, I played with the same 4 girls.
We'd been emailing each other since 40-something.
Yes. It was one night, it was just, I think it was quite late, and I just threw a line at Nick before I said, I'm going to bed now. I said, perhaps you and I ought to do a double act on the sofa. And I went to bed.
I'm not sure. I mean...
and you wrote back some funny message and I picked up the next morning.
Well, no wonder I would, wouldn't I?
When I leave the school, I'm down for Heathfield and South Hill Manor. And then maybe I may want to go to a university, but I don't know which one yet.
My home life wasn't very easy then. I'd been sent off to boarding school when I was quite young, my parents' marriage was breaking up, and like a lot of children, I think you feel that you take the blame for why they've broken up. That's just the way it was, and I hated the 2 years I was away at this first boarding school, and I think that was probably what changed me.
Well, I hated boarding school too, with a passion. I was forced to grow, I didn't choose it. I definitely got some messages that said, you're going to be in trouble if you don't do well, and so on.
But you don't regret it, and you wouldn't be where you are now. You wouldn't have the life you have now.
Hey, I'm grateful for it, but it was very uncomfortable.
I was never one to push myself forward.
And nobody else was pushing.
And no one else pushed me.
I left school when I was 16, went to Paris, went to secretarial college and got a job.
What made you decide to leave school and go to Paris?
I just wasn't interested in school and just wanted to get away.
If you'd had no choice but to get out there and support yourself, the chances would have been greater that you would have forced yourself to do it.
Yeah, that's possibly true, but at the age of 11, 12, 13, are you really aware of that?
Now that's a very telling question. In my world, you betcha.
When I grow up, I'd like to find out all about the moon and all that.
And I said I was interested in physics and chemistry. Well, I'm not going to do that here.
At 14, Nick was away at boarding school. At 21, reading physics at Oxford. His road to Oxford started in a one-room village school.
My father was here, a long time ago. He must be somewhere on these pictures. I remember distinctly coming here one day, and I'd missed a day for some reason, and they'd been talking about something to do with aeroplanes. And the teacher said, we missed you because you would have known about aeroplanes. I knew nothing about aeroplanes, but I thought, oh, I know about aeroplanes, do I? So then I went off and read about aeroplanes, so that could easily have been the start of I want to go to moon, I think she planted that idea in me.
Do you have a girlfriend?
I don't want to answer that. I don't answer those kind of questions.
I thought that one would come up because when I was doing the other one, somebody said, what do you think about girls? And I said, I don't answer questions like that. Is that the reason you're asking it?
The best answer would be to say that I don't answer questions like that, but I mean, it was what I said when I was 7, and it's still the most sensible, but I mean, what about them?
I mean, if you'd been somebody who had fixed ideas of a woman's role in marriage that meant dinner on the table at 6 every evening.
Didn't I tell you about that?
By 28, Nick had married Jackie, a fellow student from Oxford. They had a son, Adam. By 42, they were divorced.
What I concluded, and I've talked to other people about this who've gone through it, I'm not sure if they feel it as strongly as I did, but it was like a death.
Anything could happen. We could easily drift apart. There are so many pressures on people.
If your spouse died, you could look back and think, well, it was wonderful while it lasted. But in a divorce, you can't look back and say, these are all happy memories.
Hey,
Chris is my new wife.
Okay.
I don't mean to be superficial, but I think she's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
Is he sexy?
Oh, man. Absolutely. Didn't you have fun with that one?
Well, I always need to learn patience, and what do I need to learn?
Shall I get out my list?
Yeah, I think we need the list.
Go on.
No.
Tommy, do you have any boyfriends, Susie?
Yes.
Tell me about him.
He lives up in Scotland, and I think he's 13.
Have you got any boyfriends, Susie? What is your attitude towards marriage for yourself?
Well, I don't know. I haven't given it a lot of thought because I'm very, very cynical about it.
When I last saw you at 21, you were nervous, you were chain-smoking, you were uptight, and now you seem happy. What's happened to you over these last 7 years?
I suppose Rupert. I'll give you some credit.
I'm now chain-smoking.
I think, you can't just walk through a marriage and think it's, once you get married, it's all going to be roses and everything forever. It's very hard to actually say what it is that goes on between a couple. It's either there or it's not. Any marriage has its ups and downs, but somehow, whether it's through luck or determination, we've worked through the difficult times.
One of my favourite places in Oxford, Merton Chapel, here's this lovely top part of the cross, and there was going to be the main part of the cross, and this is one of the places in England that just is tremendously important to me. After I left the Dales, this was where I spent the next 6 years, and then I went to America. Look at this, isn't this beautiful? This is Mob Quad. I believe that it's a historical fact that there were quite a lot of students were massacred in the Middle Ages, and when I came here I thought I'd died and gone to heaven, but I was under an awful lot of stress all the time I was here, trying to succeed in this place as well. Okay, yes, so this was my staircase in my first year and also on my third year. I'm really happy. There was this fella who lived in the room next door to me, and he came in one day to tell me some story, and on his way out he said, I don't associate intelligence with your accent.
It would seem really ridiculous to any of my friends who watch this if I said, Christ, aren't I a great success? Look at me. What success?
By the time he was 28, Nick had emigrated to America. He was doing research into nuclear fusion at the University of Wisconsin.
Tell me about the current drive.
If you'd been offered a similar type of job over here, but
in a heartbeat.
You would have stayed.
In a heartbeat. I mean, I had dreamed of getting a university job over here. Maggie Thatcher was squeezing the universities like crazy at that very moment in time, and it was the worst time to be working in a university in generations. England doesn't seem to concern itself with training people like me and wanting them around. There doesn't seem to be a sense of urgency or a strong will to have people developing technology to help keep the country going.
The fusion reaction gives off energy and produces the power that would be turned into electrical...
I was on a mission, to get extremely cheap, clean, plentiful electricity. So nuclear fusion looked like it was going to do that. But even then, they were saying, it's 20 years away. I would say, absolutely not in my lifetime. I mean, it was kind of heartbreaking. So I had to find something else to do.
So the area that I'm looking at is this times this.
When I go into a classroom full of undergraduates, I try and explain to them why they might want to try and do it. That's my little attempt to open a little door for them.
See? There's method in my...
Nick is a professor of electrical engineering.
He was the guy...
My ambition as a scientist is to be more famous for doing science than for being in this film, but unfortunately, Michael, it's not going to happen.
When I get married, I'd like to have 2 children.
I'm not very children-minded at the moment. I don't know if I ever will be.
What do you think about them?
Oh, I don't like babies.
At 28, Susie had 2 sons, Thomas and Oliver. By the time she was 35, she also had a daughter, Laura.
Mummy? Yeah? Laura wants to.
We were lucky. We had a very good family unit with them growing up, and that meant an awful lot to me that I was able to do that for them, because I never had it for myself.
And you've done it. You've been tremendously successful at it.
Well, see, that's my problem. I don't think of myself as being I just do my best and do what I can for them.
He only wants to show you.
Did all your children go to university? Your daughter did?
Yes, and my son, the eldest one.
Hello.
I haven't had a successful career, no. But I do feel fulfilled in. I mean, I've done quite a lot of different things over the last 7 years. You know, we all make mistakes in everything, from parenting to decisions in life. You make mistakes, and that's how you become the person you are.
You can talk to me by myself outside, but I'll just meet you by the garage, okay? All right, bye.
Nick's son Adam was 10 when his parents divorced.
When he was first told, he was terribly, terribly upset. And then he just pulled himself together and didn't want to talk about it anymore.
Take it easy, Adam. Main thing is not to crash.
Really? You don't want me to crash right now?
How do you deal with it now?
He doesn't talk to me about it very much at all. He's a private person. He's getting more mature, and he has to be very patient with me, really. Can you imagine having me for a dad? Do you think it would be a low-pressure existence?
Wow, this is my little school.
I'm nuts, and I would drive a kid nuts with all my nagging. I mean, I try...
But do you think you pushed him too far, which is why he's now backing away?
Anything I push him to do, he's going to do the opposite. So there's a real, you know...
They'd like to come out for a holiday in the country when I like to have a holiday in the town.
It's a fixed reference point in a sense, that sort of earthy life and death cycle that you get living on a farm. So when something dies, it rots and feeds back into the earth.
He has a density to him. One of the first things he said to me is, "My feet are in the mud." The whole idea of being deep in the mud and very attached to a foundation makes good sense to me.
Nick has 2 younger brothers, Andrew and Christopher.
Well, I come up most weekends, and then Chris gets up usually in midweek, so he helps with shopping and stuff like that, and does things around.
We don't get over to England very often, and so you can count on one hand how many times you're going to see your family before somebody dies. And that's getting more and more pressing every time we come. You know, so yeah, this is tricky.
How are they doing?
Not well. They're very old. Yeah, I don't really want to elaborate on that, and you know,
but it's full of emotion, all this.
It's all the stuff that we repress as hard as we can, isn't it? But, yeah, it really is. I'm looking at these names, who they all are, but this, of course, is Granny Hitchin and Grandpa Hitchin. When I was a little guy, I got up at the crack of dawn and scooted next door to spend the morning with her. So yes, when she died when I was 5 or 6, I think. So I think I was devastated. Yeah.
And you still remember her?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I know you should let these things out, and I don't. I store them up. But I can't. That's the character of me now, and I can't change it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, yes. Nick is truly English. I mean, my father is English, and I was probably in my late 20s, maybe early 30s, before I uttered the words "I love you" to either one of my parents.
They were just little boys.
There is a difference, a distinct difference between the type of English person he is and the type of American people I've been with. So I don't... You may know the difference too, Michael, because you've been in both settings.
What do you think about making this programme?
I just think it's just ridiculous. I don't see any point in doing it.
Why is it that we are so annoyed about this programme?
I think the problem I have is that you don't get a very rounded picture. You get the odd comment that comes out on a particular topic, but because of the time restraint that this programme obviously has, otherwise we'd be on for a couple of months if you were trying to get everybody's real thoughts on things.
It's just that the limitations of such things as what the audience require and the time don't allow it to be a real study.
I think I'd like to say this and I'd like to say that, and then they film me sort of doing all this daft stuff, and it goes on, 7 days out of every 7 years. It's sort of biblical something or other, and it's all this excitement and so on, and then they present this tiny little snippet of your life, and it's like, that's all there is to me.
When I go home, I go and see my mother, and I have tea and watch TV. And then I do my homework and I go and see my father.
Were they in the 60s trying to say that the fact that I'd supposedly had a more privileged upbringing, that I should have been the one who've become the high flyer, and that
Absolutely.
You having come from, I mean, I just think that's so wrong, but is that what they were trying to get at?
The idea of looking at a bunch of people over time and how they evolve, that was a really nifty idea. It isn't a picture really of the essence of Nick or Susie. It's a picture of every man. It's how a person, any person, how they change. Just seeing me this age and the next age with more wrinkles and more...
I think we have all got a few of those.
Oops.
Oops.
It's not an absolute accurate picture of me, but it's a picture of somebody, and that's the value of it.
But then we're putting ourselves out to be that person.
Well, I didn't want to do it when I was 14. I know I was very difficult because I was very young to doing it. I was pressurised into doing it by my parents. And I hated it. And I vowed I'd never do it now. But here I am.
I mean, who knows in 7 years whether it'll be done again, but this is me saying hopefully I'll reach my half century next year and I shall bow out. I don't know what happened. I was quite adamant I wasn't going to do it. And then, I don't know, I suppose I have this ridiculous sense of loyalty to it, even though I hate it. And that's just such a contradiction, isn't it? And also I think it's like reading a bad book. I'll still read it, I'll still see it through. And I guess I'll put this down to being a bad book, but I'll see it through.
Simon was brought up in a children's home, the only child of a single parent.
They say, where's your father then? When your mum's out at work, they tell your father. And I just tell them I ain't got one.
See, I can get on well with my mother sometimes. We talk very well with each other, but it's sometimes not quite as mother and son, sort of more like friends.
When he was 35, Simon's mother died of cancer.
There were so many things I never actually said to my mum, that just things that, you think about afterwards. It's too late because they're not there anymore.
What sort of thing?
Just I love you every day, When I was born, an illegitimate child, that's something that's only whispered about. People, feel strongly about it in those days, but nowadays it's not a serious matter. The serious point is whether you stay with somebody or you leave them.
Since 21, I've got married, had a couple of kids.
By 28, he had married Yvonne, and they had 5 children.
They've got everything then. They've even got what I never had. So,
which is what?
A father, isn't it? So, I mean, they've had everything.
By 35, they were divorced.
At one stage, they all stopped seeing me at all. But now, a bit older, a bit wiser, and I'm a bit older and wiser, and now 3 of them see me.
At 42, he married Vianetta.
We used to go out when we were younger. We met in the laundrette.
Once a week.
Once a week in the laundrette.
Vianetta already had a daughter, Miriam, and she and Simon had a son, Daniel. Is there anything of you in him?
Dashing good looks, yeah. That's me. And his love of sport as well. Well, today's Daniel's big day. He's now 18 and he's a young man, he says. And he's done very well with his schooling and everything.
The beginning of the week, I received an email saying that I got onto my apprenticeship with Procter & Gamble, which I'm very excited about. And I start that in the next couple of weeks.
All I want to say is that I have had the proudest week of my life. With my son passing his exams, he's passed his test, and if money runs to it, he might get a car.
But here, people are undecided about you. They can be your friend one day and not the next.
Obviously, when children come into foster care, family and friends are involved as well, and we have to ensure that the children are kept safe and secure.
By 49, Simon and Vianetta had decided to train as foster parents.
Went to boarding school when I was young, and I always felt that that was regimental. They didn't allow for personal care, for loving from the adult carers. So I wanted to do something like that for myself, you know, in my own home.
And we always say to foster carers, please do not cut the children's hair without the permission of the parents.
So what's the toughest thing about being a foster parent?
You're taking a chance when you do it, because you really don't know what you're getting. It's something that all children want. It's to be loved. It's to be wanted. So if you can give that to them, then everything else is second.
You never look different. You know why Uncle Sam looks younger? Because he's so laid back. Some of them come back, they ring you up and say, hello auntie, hello uncle, and how are you? They come and have Sunday dinner, come and visit us, which is good.
I once tried to count and I got up to 65 and I stopped.
Because if you know that you're going to get 50p for an empty can of Coke, obviously she's like a mother to me. She's always been there. There was a time where I felt like I want to give up in everything, and she kept saying to me, like, you have to keep on going, like, you have to keep on trying. Oh, I get emotional. Sorry.
When I came through the airport and that, like, my family wasn't at the airport to collect me and that, so, you know, I just had to stay somewhere for like a temporary base. I was here for about, I think, 5 to 6 years. I couldn't ask anything better, to be honest. Yeah, they were really nice, you know, yeah, very nice.
Oh, that's good.
Were you looked after at some point?
My real mother died at birth, and my dad remarried, and my mother is the person who made me the person I am today, because she was always helping other young people. And she used to always say to us, don't be jealous, because you've got my love, but they've got no one to love them. You know?
As well as fostering, Vianetta also works for an organisation that takes homeless young people off the streets.
You put AQA courses, I think.
Yeah.
And what happens to the fostering children when you're here 4 days?
Simon and I balance them together. We juggle. Simon sometimes works late and then I rush home. He'll do the school run in the morning, I'll do the school run in the afternoon. But my job's very flexible.
So you have an incredibly busy life, don't you?
Very busy.
We started to feel that we were getting sort of tense and tight, you know, and that normally means you need a holiday because we found ourselves doing too much. So at some stage you've got to chill out.
Simon took the family to Portugal.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, that's nice.
That's quite... What do you think?
That's blingy.
That's really nice.
So Jess is your first marriage and Minnie's your child by your marriage. And the relationship's strong?
They know each other from being young. They did things together, went out together. So they're not like strangers.
Before I'm old enough to get to stop, I just walk around and see what I can find.
Was going to be a film star, but now I'm going to be an electrical engineer, which is more to reality, really.
By 21, Simon was working in the freezer room of Wall's Sausages in London.
I know I can't stay at Wall's forever. I mean, it's just not me. I couldn't stay there for that long. My mind would go dead.
And you never feel you should be doing better jobs than these? Aren't you worth more than this?
No, I haven't really. I suppose I just like hard work. I don't know.
The factory closed down. Since then, he has worked near Heathrow Airport, handling freight.
If I'd pushed myself at school, probably I could have done a lot better.
Does that give you pause for thought?
No, that means I was a lazy sod when I was younger.
If we'd got together when we should have got together, there's no way he'd have been a forklift driver. Not where I'm with, no way. Not with all that brains. I've got common sense, and he's got the brains.
I am the proof that you need to push yourself and go on. If you want to get on, if you want things in life, you have to push yourself to keep going. I should have been an accountant, but I went in this office, I looked at this grey, grubby office, and the people there looked grey, suited and miserable, and I thought, this isn't for me. I'll stay out in the fresh air, I don't want this. Years later I realised that not every office is like that. Some offices are vibrant and moving, but it was too late then. I'd already sort of stagnated myself driving forklifts and working in a warehouse.
You could have made a lot of money being an accountant.
Yes, you could have.
She looks after me. She doesn't just push me, she looks after me. You know, she would never let anything be wrong for me.
Thanks, please. Thank you. Go and get the water bed now and come up.
At one stage we went to marriage guidance because the pressures of being together were getting to us because we are two completely different people. I'm very laid back. You know, as she always says, if I go any further back I'll fall over. But
is the chemistry still there between you?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah,
is it?
Yes, darling.
Oh, yeah, the chemistry's still there.
Yeah. We've been saying that, what, nearly 20 years?
Is that all it is?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Simon, hurry up! Catch up! Come on, Des and Daniel.
Do you think you could ever retire and ever just chill out?
There's people who I've noticed, they stop work and they have no other interests. They suddenly get old.
Yes, so you're old. You've got a few bulges, a few wrinkles, but life still goes on. Enjoy life.
So who won?
Well, I came here first. I think that was me.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. Did I win and just allow you to come?
No.
Dad, you was like the person that comes around on the tractor.
I think I admire people with great determination. You know, like people who just come up from nothing. They build up their life from absolutely nothing.
Well, do you see some parts of life as success and some parts of failure, or do you not think like that?
You don't stop life because you've made a mistake, you know.
If you go down the wrong road, it doesn't mean that's the end of the road for you. There's no chance you have to turn around and come back. Start again, isn't it?
Do a U-turn. To be honest, what do you think about our life?
I think there's been more ups and downs, and hopefully there's a lot more ups to come.
Yeah.
And what about the other children? Where are they now? What are they doing?
I'm going to work in Woolworths.
My life, I've been able to do more or less what I wanted to do.
My heart's desire is to see my daddy.
It all springs from valuing God and Christ, I suppose.
I read the Financial Times.
It's very irresponsible because we all want more money, as much money as we can get.
I want to be a jockey when I grow up. Yeah, I want to be a jockey when I grow up.
I'm as good or even better than most of them people, especially on this programme.